Here's the contradiction that just broke Wall Street's expectations. Databricks posted 80% annualized revenue growth, hitting $6.9 billion in annual sales. That's a number investors usually celebrate with champagne. Except there's a problem that nobody's talking about. The same quarter that showed that explosive growth also revealed something brutal. Databricks' profit margins are getting crushed. Revenue is skyrocketing, but the money staying in the bank is shrinking. So how does a company grow faster than almost anyone in tech and simultaneously watch its bottom line collapse? The answer reveals something profound about the future of artificial intelligence and why the next generation of AI infrastructure companies will look nothing like the ones winning today. It's not that Databricks is failing. They are not. Their bet on data and AI infrastructure was right on the money. The problem is that their bet is now eating itself alive. And here's where it gets interesting. This isn't just a Databricks story. This is a preview of what's about to happen to NVIDIA, to OpenAI, to Anthropic, and to every single company betting its future on selling artificial intelligence or the infrastructure to run it. The rules of the game are changing faster than anyone expected, and the companies that don't adapt are about to learn the hard way. To understand why this matters, let's rewind. Databricks started as a stealth project inside UC Berkeley's computer science department in 2015. The founders, including Matei Zaharia, were working on something called Apache Spark, a data processing engine that could tackle massive datasets way faster than older tools. Spark became huge. It's now installed everywhere, at Netflix, at Uber, at Goldman Sachs. Then, around 2020, the team realized where the real money was heading. It wasn't just data processing, it was artificial intelligence. So Databricks pivoted. They built a platform, Delta Lake, then Databricks SQL, then a full AI and machine learning suite that let companies use their massive data warehouses to train and run AI models. The bet worked spectacularly. In 2023, they were worth about $40 billion. By 2024, they'd scaled to $3.5 billion in annual sales. Now in 2026, they're at $6.9 billion annualized. That's 80% growth in a single year. But here's what most coverage gets wrong. That growth isn't coming from margin-friendly enterprise seats anymore. It's coming from volume. It's consumption-based pricing, pay for the compute you burn, pay for the data you store. And that model works great when you're the only option. It breaks when everyone can build agents to do the work for less. Here's the core problem. For the last 10 years, the software industry charged by the seat. You wanted to use Salesforce, that's $50 per user per month times your team size. You want Figma, that's $12 per editor plus observers. Adobe Creative Cloud, $60 per person per month. The pricing is predictable, the margins are stable, and companies loved the model because they could forecast spending. Databricks did something different, they said. Instead of charging per seat, we'll charge per compute. Pay for the GPU time you use, the storage you burn, the data you process. That's a fundamentally better model when you're running huge enterprise data warehouses. A bank can spin up a query that burns 1,000 GPU seconds and pay accordingly. A retailer can train a model that touches a petabyte of historical sales data. Consumption model meant Databricks could capture way more value from enterprise customers. Except then something happened that nobody predicted. AI agents became cheap, really cheap. Like you can spin up a specialized agent for $100 a month cheap. So instead of hiring a team of data analysts, companies can deploy 50 lightweight agents across their business, each one focused on a different problem. For the same cost, they used to pay for 2 analysts. The volume explodes, but the profit per agent collapses. And that's when consumption-based pricing becomes a trap. Let me make this concrete. Imagine you work at a Fortune 500 bank. 3 years ago, you had a data team, 20 people. Their job was to pull reports, analyze trends, spot patterns in transaction data, flag fraud, optimize lending. That data team cost you $5 million per year in salary and benefits, so you bought Databricks. You migrated your data warehouse to Databricks platform. The team ran queries, trained models. Everything ran on Databricks infrastructure. You were spending $2 million a year on Databricks Cloud. It was an easy sale for Databricks, high spend, sticky customer, long contract. Now it's 2026. Your team hasn't grown, but your data volume has tripled. So does your Databricks bill triple? Maybe. But here's the change. Your bank doesn't need that 20-person data team anymore. You can deploy 50 AI agents instead. One agent monitors fraud, one analyzes lending patterns, one handles regulatory compliance, one optimizes pricing, 50 specialized agents orchestrated together doing the job of 100 analysts. The cost drops to $300,000 per year per agent swarm, but that means your Databricks bill doesn't scale the same way. It becomes a support layer, not a primary cost center. And that margin evaporates. Here's the twist nobody expected. Databricks' growth is partly being driven by its own obsolescence. Let's compare Databricks to a traditional SaaS company, say Salesforce. Salesforce makes money by selling licenses. A sales team of 20, that's $85 per user per month, times 20 people, times 12 months, about $20,000 per year. Scale to 100 users, that's $100,000 per year. Scale to 1,000, $1 million per year. The math is predictable. And the profit margin is predictable. Salesforce keeps about 45% of that as margin. That margin is stable because every additional seat you add costs them almost nothing. It's pure profit. Now contrast that with Databricks. You add more agents, your compute bill goes up with every agent you add. Every query costs something. Every model training run costs something. The profit margin is maybe 30%. Maybe less when you account for cloud infrastructure costs they have to pass through to Amazon, Google, or Microsoft. Traditional SaaS vendors like Salesforce control their entire product stack, so their margins stay high. Databricks has to pay cloud providers for every bit of compute their customers consume. So as usage grows, their costs grow proportionally. Meanwhile, customers are getting smarter about optimization. They're building more efficient agents. Caching results, running queries during off-peak hours. That means Databricks' cost structure is getting squeezed from both sides, growing customer usage but shrinking per unit spend. This is where it gets complicated. Consumption-based models scale revenue, but they don't scale margins the same way. This story is bigger than Databricks. This is the story of the entire artificial intelligence economy right now. Look at what's happening with large language models. 2 years ago, an API call to GPT-4 cost $5 per million tokens. Today, GPT-4 costs $3 per million tokens. Claude Sonnet dropped from $15 per million tokens to 30 cents. The frontier models are getting cheaper by 50% every 12 months. NVIDIA is in the same boat. Their flagship GPU, the H100, which cost $320,000 5 years ago, is now being competed away by cheaper chips from AMD and Intel. NVIDIA's margins are compressing because abundance always destroys pricing power. And here's what most Wall Street analysts miss. This isn't temporary. This isn't a pricing war that'll resolve. This is the structure of artificial intelligence. Intelligence is a commodity now. Like electricity, like water, like bandwidth. Commodities have low margins. The companies that win in commodity markets aren't the ones selling the commodity cheapest. They're the ones who build valuable services on top. Amazon doesn't make money selling GPS. They make money charging for managed services on top of GPS. Microsoft doesn't make money selling models. They make money selling orchestration, governance, and integration. The margin compression is here to stay. But wait, there's something nobody's talking about. Where does the next wave of profitability come from? So if Databricks can't defend margins on raw compute and storage, what can they do? The answer is the operational layer. Right now, no company has really solved agent orchestration at scale. When you deploy 50 agents across your enterprise, who's monitoring them? Who's enforcing cost limits? Who's preventing a runaway agent from spinning up 1,000 GPUs? Seconds and blowing your month's budget in an hour? Who's ensuring agents aren't hallucinating or giving incorrect advice? Who's tracking which agent is generating value and which ones are costing money without return? That's the next software layer. Companies like Databricks need to build tools that enterprises pay for separately from raw compute. Tools that say, you get $100,000 per month in compute budget, and this dashboard shows you which teams are using it, which agents are most efficient, where you're leaking money, how to optimize without breaking production. They need to sell governance. They need to sell observability. They need to sell cost management. Those are higher margin services. You can charge separately. You can charge per organization instead of per compute. And you can defend that pricing because there's no commodity alternative. Every company's agent landscape is different. This is what Databricks should be doing. Instead, they are still selling compute. And that's the fundamental problem. Here's the big picture. Databricks' 80% revenue growth is real. The company is winning, but the margin collapse is also real, and it's telling us something important about the AI economy. We are at an inflection point. For the last 4 years, artificial intelligence was scarce. You needed a GPU, you paid. You wanted a model, you rented access. Scarcity meant premium pricing. Now the supply side has flipped. Models are cheap. Compute is cheap. Agents are cheap. Abundance kills pricing power. That's economics 101. So what does that mean for you? If you work in technology, it means the opportunity isn't in selling the intelligence itself anymore. It's in solving the operational problem of managing intelligence at scale. If you're an investor, it means the next decade of AI company valuations will look different. The winners won't be those with the highest growth. They'll be those with sustainable margins. And if you're a business leader deploying AI, it means your advantage isn't coming from buying the best model or the fanciest infrastructure. Your advantage is in how efficiently you deploy, orchestrate, and optimize agents to do the actual work. This is what this means for you. The era of expensive artificial intelligence is ending. The era of abundant, cheap artificial intelligence is starting. And the real gold rush isn't in building the intelligence, it's in building the operational layer that makes that abundance useful. That's where the margin lies. That's where the next winners will be built. Follow for daily AI news.